Welcome. I'm Tim Fortescue, an IFS trained practitioner, walking alongside of folks who are looking to grow in life in general, or I have a pastoral training seminary background, and so spirituality is important to me. And so walk alongside of folks, some who've experienced religious trauma, some who are just looking for support. And I am grateful to be a resource and to walk alongside of you. However, it makes sense because we're all in this together. And yeah, life is hard and we need one another and support. You can find more about me on my website, faithfullygrowing.com. As we go throughout our time today, if you're watching live, you can put questions in the chat and I'll engage with those at the end of the time. If you're watching a recording, go ahead and put your questions in too, and know that I will get back to them and keep track of those questions and address them next week. I do this each week at the same time here where I am in the central time zone in the US. It's at 9 a.m. and that's the same time zone as Chicago if you need to convert that. Go ahead and if you haven't already, like and share the channel. This helps others get access to it, and subscribe if you haven't and if you would like to. And then just a few more promotions before I jump into our content. Today I'm going to talk about triggers and how they affect us in our work. But before I do that, if you have the capacity to make a donation, one of my primary passions is to keep IFS and coaching accessible to all. And you can make a donation over on my website and just click the donate tab. Additionally, if you're looking for more support while you're over on the website, check out my offerings and know that I do have some donation-based products and offerings that gives you, if you're a practitioner, I do a weekly drop-in where we can do some case consultation. And in general, I do a monthly drop-in for everyone. And so you can check that out and click on offerings on my website if you're curious. And while you're there too, you can sign up for my 25 IFS guided meditations. And you can always send me an email if you have questions to tim@faithfullygrowing.com. But today I'm going to talk about triggers and emotional reactions when we're working with our parts in the context of internal family systems. And understanding triggers is a crucial step towards emotional healing and self-awareness. Triggers are those situations, people, or events that elicit strong emotional reactions in us. By recognizing these triggers and the parts of us they activate, we can start to respond to our emotions with greater awareness and compassion. And so let's do a little exercise and let's begin by reflecting. And so just take a bit and pause and check in with your internal world. And see if something comes to mind or if you can bring to mind recent experiences where you felt a strong emotional reaction. It may be helpful to think about specific situations or people that prompted these feelings. And what was it about these moments that triggered such a response in you? Take a bit to identify and reflect on these triggers. And once you've identified some triggers, the next step is to consider which parts of you react strongly in these moments. Are there patterns or familiar feelings that arise, such as anger, fear, or sadness? Be aware of those emotions that may come up over and over again, and the specific trigger that may elicit those emotions. These parts of us often hold on to past experiences and respond to present situations based on those memories. Just pause for a minute and just see what you're noticing now. And it's normal to be triggered. I know as an IFS practitioner who lives and breathes this model, when I go out into the world or in my relationship with my partner or with my kids, it's easy to get triggered. And my parts can come in extreme, those extreme roles. And it's good just to pause and notice them. And I even have to repair afterwards because we're human. We make mistakes. Just see if your parts can take that in. Because in IFS, we approach these reactive parts with curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling a certain way, try to understand what these parts may be trying to tell you. They're probably stuck in the past, not even aware of where they're being triggered today often. And so check in just one more time as we pause. What are their concerns, fears, desires? And how can you listen and understand their perspective without criticism? Just see if there's anything else before I give you a little more content and some resources that may be helpful as you take this into your daily life. And thank your parts for their courage, for as much or as little as they shared. And let them know this doesn't have to be the last time that you check in with them. If it feels right for you, let them know you can do this again, and maybe let them know when you can do that. But for now, just going to come back to the present moment. Let me give you just a few resources that may be helpful for you. So here are some practical ways to approach your triggers with more curiosity. The first one's mindful awareness, just by noticing when you feel triggered and paying attention to the physical sensations in your body, the thoughts racing in your mind, the emotions bubbling up. And this awareness is the first step to understanding your triggers. Then after that awareness, pausing and reflecting. When you notice a trigger, take a moment to pause instead of reacting immediately. Give yourself the space to reflect on what's happening. And it may be helpful to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What part of me is reacting? And then asking more questions. And sometimes this may not be able to happen in the moment, but you may be able to reflect on it afterwards. Sometimes we can just be mindful in the moment. And sometimes we may be able to pause for a bit and reflect, but it may take another time for deeper reflection. And when you have that time, you can approach your reactive parts with curiosity and ask them questions like, what are you trying to protect me from? Or what do you need from me right now? And see if you can listen to their responses with compassion, curiosity, without judgment. And that leads to the last one. Offer compassion, show compassion toward these parts. And know that if you're not feeling it, it's likely another part that may need some attention. But acknowledge their feelings and let them know that you understand their perspective, and thank them for their efforts to protect you, even if their methods are intense. And then here are a few strategies that may be helpful. Journaling. It may be helpful to keep a trigger journal whenever you experience a strong emotional reaction. Write down what happened, how you felt, what thoughts came up. And over time, this can help identify patterns and understand your triggers better. Then visualization, practicing visualizing a calm response to your triggers. Imagine a scenario when you're triggered, but respond from a place of calm and compassion. That's where pausing, like we did at the beginning, may be helpful. And this mental rehearsal can prepare you for real life situations. Grounding techniques, using these when you feel triggered. And this could be as simple as focusing on your breath, feeling your feet on the ground, or holding a comforting object, but grounding helps to bring you back to the present moment and reduces the intensity of your emotional reaction. Affirmations. Create affirmations that support your journey towards self-awareness and compassion. An example of this could be, I'm safe and capable of handling my emotions. Or I approach my feelings with curiosity and kindness. And then support system. Lean on a support team. And that's where I encourage you to reach out to me if you could use some support. I have some coaching groups with others that are on this parts work journey, as well as the drop-ins that are available as a part of the donation-based products and offerings that I have. But it's helpful to share your experiences with trusted friends, family, a therapist, or practitioner. Talking about your triggers can provide new insights and reduce feelings of isolation. And then here's just a few reflections for deeper understanding. Reflecting on the origin of the trigger. Spend time reflecting where your triggers might have originated. Are there past experiences or relationships that have contributed to actions? And understanding the root can provide context and facilitate healing. And inner dialogue, which is what we're all about in IFS, or internal family systems. Engage in an inner dialogue with your triggered parts. Ask them about their earliest memories and what they need from you now. And this compassionate conversation can uncover valuable insights and foster healing. And then self-care. Don't forget to prioritize self-care. And I'm speaking to myself as much as I am to you here, because I have a lot of workaholic parts that can get extreme, people-pleasing parts. And sometimes I don't prioritize my own self-care, especially when you're working through triggers. This is even more important. And ensure that you're getting enough rest, nutrition, relaxation, exercise. A well cared for body and mind are more resilient to emotional stress. And then finally, celebrate progress, no matter how small. Healing's a journey, a step, and each step forward is significant. So recognize your efforts and be gentle with yourself during setbacks. And so I hope that this has been helpful, just kind of realizing triggers and how they affect us in our parts work journey. As always, if you have questions, send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com, and I'd be glad to engage with you there. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe to the channel to help others find it. And know that I do this each week at the same time on Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Central, which is Chicago time here in the US. But if you're watching a recording, engage in that chat, and I'll keep watch on it this week. And I'd be glad to engage with your questions at the end of each session here, whether live or if you're watching a recording. I want to get to those questions too. But so grateful for this community that we're developing here. Reach out if you need to, and have a great week. And let's all try to be gentle and compassionate with ourselves. All right, take care.